Yes, sir.
Oh
What's
man,
good? What's good? What's good, fellas? How y'all feeling?
Good, man. Oh, man. Spectacular, man. Y'all doing all right?
Yeah.
man. You know, Friday, the weekend's here. It was good, man. I got out of work early today. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was nice and smooth day, man. Shout out to the city for letting us out early today.
It's interesting. So, real quick before we dive into what we're doing for the pre-show, my wife called Little the other day. So, I told y'all I'm up here in Charlotte celebrating a new addition to the family, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, yo, I could go for some Jamaican food. We don't in Winston-Salem. You can't get access to it. So my brother-in-law was like, yo, like I recommend a spot. Really good food. I say less. Put in $150 order, right? Online. He's like, yo, Chuck, just before you go up there, because it's about a half an hour away, call them and just make sure they got your order straight. I'm like, all right, cool. I call no answer. I'm like, whatever, let's go up there and see. I drive up there.
I said,
Drive
let's
there
go.
30 minutes to get there. Hey, how you doing? I'm here to pick up the order for Jones. What'd you order? I ordered, $150 worth of food, man. Oh, we don't have the ticket for that order. Not sure what to tell you, ma'am. Like I put the order in. Here's the receipt. Oh, we'll put that. We'll handle that right now. 45 minutes later. Here you go, sir. You're all set. Thank you. My wife's beside herself. Nigga, we put this order in a half an hour ago. We had to wait 45 more minutes. I said, yo, babe, the truth of the matter is, with Jamaican spots, I don't expect no less. I expect that with Jamaican spots. I expect that with any Caribbean spot. I expect that with any Chinese food spot. You're not going there for customer service. You're not going there for things to work out. You're going there because you like the way the food tastes and you're willing to go through the battles to get it. Now she's mad and she want to file a customer service complaint. So she calls Sammy. And Sammy's like, "You're right. Fuck them, man. Now you know Sammy because that. What's the name of the place? Let's air them out. No, we ain't doing all that. You know what to expect.
Let's just set the table straight. Chuck is racist. If it was any other type of person's, restaurant besides the black owned,
the color of his shirt, like the sleeves, sleeves of his
the
shirt.
hat.
the
but
parts of the hat
because it
don't have
was
LA on it.
because it was black owned, he gonna give it a pass.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I just know what to expect from Caribbean spots. They're always never. There's something always wrong. Either they're gonna forget part of the order, they're not gonna have no more macaroni and chease. It's always.
So what are you saying? They're incompetent?
Me not have that.
What are we saying here?
What we're
Because I
saying
got a
is,
bunch of Caribbean friends that got a lot of words for you.
what we're saying
if
is,
you-
what we're saying is, they don't need to be making macaroni and cheese. That's a hill I'm ready to die on. But go ahead.
I'm. You know what? I'm with you on that. I'm
I'll
definitely
take
not getting
everything
the
else on the menu. Just hold that.
I'm not getting
put those resources towards. You know what I mean?
better customer service. That's put the money towards that. Some training.
Give me an extra piece of chicken, man. Like let's figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let me ask.
I know what to expect. That's all.
Hey, Capo, was the food at least good?
Yeah, that's my next question.
Yo, so I ain't gonna believe food was spectacular. Food was spectacular. And I was like, oh, I am overly impressed with this. Overly impressed. So much so, I forgotten about the hour and 15-minute wait for the food. My wife didn't.
Fabian did.
No, definitely not. But the food was stellar. So much so that I've added to my incoming guests list. So people come in and visit from out of town, we go in there. Now, what's in Charlotte?
So what are you telling your friends that are going to go visit these people? That they're retardedly late, so just come an hour after you order?
I will get it as takeout so that my guests don't have to worry about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about how I made the bed. Just make sure the bed is dope. That's all you got to worry about.
Yeah, you're racist.
Listen, I will tell you this: the more stress you go through to get the order through, the better the food usually is.
The better the food. Fact. That's an absolute fact.
If you go in there and it's, everything's peachy and cheery or whatever, it's like, wait a minute, this might be the spot we were talking about the other day. It's like, yeah, you keep that.
Yeah, see? Yeah, that's what I'm talking.
You know what I mean? I come in there, I don't want eye contact or nothing. I just want you to be like, what you want? And then I'm like, oh, we here.
Yeah, that's the one. That's it.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Let me get 2 orders.
That's a fact. Polka, what's good, Queen? How are you?
Polka P, Fem
Freaks. YouTube. Make sure y'all go check that out. Fem Freaks is doing some great content over there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I sent Polka a text like, yo, you got to bring me on the show. She's like, we don't want no testosterone energy. I said, all right, pardon me. That's
Get in line, fam. We're doing guests next season.
All right, okay.
You could pull up and you could sit on the side and you could just watch them work. That's all it is. Okay. Let them cook. Let them cook. Let them cook, man. Nah, I had the pleasure, man, of going to pull up on them Monday for the show. I watched the week before, and it's better in person. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, it's much better in person. The energy and everything between them, the 4 of them, it's like you would think they have known each other for like some years, how they connect with each other. You know what I'm saying? And it comes across organically. It's not forced or anything like that. You know what I mean? And it's a testament to them too, because they did things, to be cool outside of this, like going to have dinner or going to get food or doing things that they were setting up meetings and all that stuff. So shout out to them for really, really making it work. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up. I didn't get the invite to come down there, but it was cool that
nah, bullshit. Cut it out.
Nobody gets the invite.
They still cool with me.
Nobody gets the invite, man. Just pull up.
He's capping for sure.
Came pulled up. I didn't know he was even on the way.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Word up. Nah, man. But it was a good time though. Definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah. I was in arguments all day today.
Cafe
Pacific.
Why? Oh boy, who argues over Cafe Pacific? Go ahead. I want to hear about this.
You just mad because y'all can't get Chinese food down there like that.
Yeah, that's true.
But nah, I guess some of the older folks are complaining that Cafe Pacific's going to the dumps because of the crowd that they're allowing in. The younger kids are now starting. Well, actually, I can't even say the younger kids because now they're like in their 30s now. Coming down there.
Aunties and uncles over there run that spot.
Yeah, so some of the older, the 40 and 50-year-olds were complaining about it. I was basically on there just like, well, what you do is you go talk to the manager, see if y'all can get some extra security in. I don't understand why Black people can't be around other Black people, but I mean, I guess if they rowdy, I guess,
Well, that was my question. Is it because they're rowdy? Like, what's the issue that they're?
Well, I guess it was getting a little rowdy up there. So I guess I was like, just go speak to management. Maybe they can bump up security there, stuff like that. But I said, y'all are the older folks. Like, y'all should be talking to some of these younger kids, I mean, because if you don't want them to take over your spot, because this will end up being like slaves. Slaves is no longer for us. It's for the youngest, the group under us.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, basically. Them and the guys that like put fucking light brights up there, your wobbles loose and stuff like that.
Oh, slaves has changed, huh?
This guy's crazy.
Well, no, I mean that's a legit question for me because I'm coming from my town, right? So am I adding slaves to my visit list, right? Like, or is it like, nah, don't go in there, Chuck. It's not what you thought it was. It's not what it used to be.
Well, no,
I haven't.
Food, pull up.
Yeah, I haven't.
No, I'm there to chill and relax too. Like I'm not just with food. Like slaves used to be an atmosphere.
Yeah, I think there's nights for the crowd that you want to be around, and there's nights for crowds that you don't want to be around. And I think that's like anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like, because this, like the mix also has kind of got like a younger type of crowd. There's some crowds I don't want to be around there. You know what I'm saying? There's some crowds I don't mind being around there. You know what I mean? Like, so I just think that's what it is. It's just certain crowds that fit, certain people, especially in our demographic now. Like, again, there's Black people and there's niggas.
Definitely
I just don't want to be around.
But you know what, though, sir?
sometimes I just don't want to be around these YNs, dog. I don't want to be around some of them.
So here's something. Hightower had recently come to visit me back into the year, right? And when he came to town, we went to Charlotte. He had a good night in Charlotte at a club that gives me what you guys are talking about as the mixed vibe, right? And Hightower, I'll let you confirm or deny. We went in there. It had a little bit of a club atmosphere. It had a bar. It had a DJ stand. It had all this kind of stuff, right? This kind of high energy vibe. Now, again, we went in the middle of the day, so we really didn't get the full experience, but you can see what it was designed for, right?
Right.
And then later that weekend, I took Hightower to a venue, right? That's more a 45-year-old type of space for me now, right? Yep. So is it that I have to be able to play in both spaces? Is that the requirement now? Because I very rarely want that mixed vibe anymore. I want a glass of wine. I want to be able to sit and chit chat.
You want to chill.
I can't get that at what you guys inspire.
Yeah, you want to chill, and I'm with you because I'm on the same type of time. Like you know what I mean? Like if I want to do that, I'll go hang out with my 20-something-year-old nephews and their friends. Like if that's what type of energy I'm seeking, I'll go hang out with them. But sometimes I'm like, no, I'm like, yo, nigga, you're 46. Nigga, go sit your ass down and go hang around the people in your age bracket. That's on the type of time that you are.
Yeah, I feel like our approach to going out has to be the same approach to, the food we want to eat. You know what I mean? You have a taste for this, you go over here for that. You know what I mean? Like if I want to sit down and have a glass of wine, I know where to go. If I want to see some energy, I know where to go. You know what I mean? If I want to be around my peoples, like the ones that can't come to the wine spots, I know where to go. You know what I mean? So it's all about your move, man.
I think that's where I struggle. And you guys hear me talk about that with our community. I want us to be able to go to a wine spot with our community. See what I'm saying? I want us to have access to the elevated experiences.
Yeah, we got
it. What I want.
We definitely got it.
I don't want us to go in there and then it turned into what Little's described, right? Where it's like, yo, like they don't want us in there no more because the energy's crazy.
It's them karaoke nights, man. You know what I'm saying? Like
those be the best nights.
No, but I'm just saying, like it's the karaoke. Like that was for the older people originally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the youngins started kind of catching on to it. They like, oh man, I can come here drink cheap. You know what I mean? Food's cheap.
But you know what? The case would be. I think people outgrow places and whatnot. Because truthfully,
for sure,
Cafe Pacific was probably, when those people started going down there, they were probably at the same age as these young kids now coming down there at, that mid 30-year-old type age range and stuff like that. It may be time for some of them elderly to kind of, kick rocks. It may be.
Wow. And it's interesting because
we no longer go to slaves
tonight. Is kind of like taking a nostalgic journey through the years of where the young people are now, right? And how we view them as older, but it's no different than when we were in our younger years, how the older people were viewing us and the things that was going on with us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just a cycle that it's just constantly the wheel is just constantly going. You know what I mean? It's a constant cycle. You know what I'm saying? We're looking at it so much differently versus, in my 20s, I couldn't wait for that kind of energy. Like I was seeking out those spots that had all that kind of energy, the Guidos, you know what I'm saying, the Diplomats, like all of those type of spots that had
the Roxy,
that kind of energy.
Arias.
Like, okay, where you had to have your head on a swivel also just to make sure you're not in the line of fire, because I could be shaking someone's hand and it's like, yo, that's my man, but you're like, yo, I don't fuck with that nigga. Like, whoa, partner, listen, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
but let me ask you this also. Then
Hold on. You ain't gotta ask me that just yet, man. Yo, fellas, Showtime,
We
baby.
already know what time it is.
You know what I mean? Episode 174. Let's get it.
Hey yo, Donut White, no muzzle. Sparring Minds live every Friday. Let's go. Look, it's Sparring Minds. If you don't know the name, look us up. You know it's all facts when you got Chef Maine cooking up a couple of brothers who know all about the struggle. Black excellence, you know we just work hard and hustle. Whenever you want that urban talk, you know we keep it real. Mr. Maritime on the mic, yeah, you know the deal is real life. Hotel High Tower bringing you the feel. DJ Payne, keep it 100. Matter of fact, keep it a mill. Let's go.
Yo, Sparring Minds, we back, baby. Episode 174. You know what I'm saying? Time capsule. We on our Marty McFly shit, Back to the Future. You know what I mean? Type of vibe going on. So I forget what we was talking about. Capsule, what you about to?
Speaking of time capsule, we need to get a new video done for that intro because, yeah, I look like a whole different nigga. We need to fix that.
You said you like
fix that.
You know what I mean?
No, that's what I was going to say real quick. I'm going to just get into the show. It was just a quick question of what we were talking about. So,
good.
How much of these younger spots, the mix, these restaurants that double as clubs, right? That's really what they are.
Park 54s.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
How much of that do we go to as mid-40-year-olds to keep our semblance of youth? So for me, I don't have that need. I don't have a need to do young things anymore. I don't have that need. I don't have that drive, right? I'd much rather go to a venue. You see what I'm saying? I'd much rather go to a rooftop place and sit and chill over a cigar. But I think for a lot of our age range, it's important that they go mingle with 20s and 30s-year-olds to still keep that level of fresh. See what I'm saying? That level of, I can still rock with you.
No,
I
think
don't know
for
if
me,
it's that same level of fresh. I think you need a balance sometimes. It's cool to kind of go certain places and just relax and chill, and so you can be able to talk. But then there's days where, I'm a music person, so there's days where it's like, you know what, my left leg feeling good today. I might be able to get out on the dance floor and dance a little bit. Like I might want to, that nostalgia of just having fun again and partying. You want that every now and then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, I mean, you can still go to the same spots. I think it's just for your intentions when you get there have to evolve. You know what I mean? Like I can still go to the same spots I was going to when I was a little younger. It's just my intentions in those spots are different. Now I'm not looking for nothing. Now I'm not trying to, I'm actually trying to just enjoy the vibe. I'm trying to, sip whatever and just kind of kick back. And maybe people watch, because before I wasn't people watching. Before I was the one being watched. You know what I mean? So you can do all the same thing. You just gotta just adjust your actions to who you are today versus who you were.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I partied so much when I was younger. Like I said, before I was 21, I remember being in Dorchester High in classes and me and Cal Brown or me and Black, and we talking about we going to Vince's this weekend. Like that's what type of was on. So now at 46, it just doesn't even excite me really to be out. Like I literally prefer.
I was in high school going to Vincent's.
Listen, let me tell you.
Yeah.
The Bahama Beach Club behind it, right?
No, we had shout out to my brother. My brother's he's the GOAT.
I forgot the counterfeit.
We had Rhode Island. We had fake. I can tell the story now. It's long time ago. We had fake Rhode Island IDs or licenses that we had. My brother's friend made them for us in New Bedford. He had the crazy background in the basement. You know what I'm saying? Like where we just sat up next to it, go take a picture, and it was like, just memorize the information on it. That was legit it. Because I remember being in line at Vincent's one night and the bouncer looking at me like, and I just ran it off because I had studied it. You know what I'm saying? So what
was your name on the license?
Huh?
What was your name on the license?
Nah, I don't remember that. That's a long time ago. That's a long ass time ago. I remember that. But I had to memorize all that information. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was just wild times. You know what I mean? So going out now just doesn't. It does not excite me the same way. Now, sometimes do I need to just like I'm like you, Little. I love music. And I just like being around people sometimes. But I'm smart enough to read the room and know when the energy is filling up a certain way and it's time for me to exit stage left and not, I don't got to be there at the end of the night and stay to the club and all that. Like, I actually want to be gone before the lights up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what type of time I'm on now. So, yeah, I don't feel that need to do so, because when I start seeing friends of mine's kids out and I'm somewhere, then I know it's time for me to like, this ain't the spots that I should be in, because I'm seeing my friends' children outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, that's not a good look. That's not what
I think because we're talking about time capsule, right? I think that you got a head start on it, sure. But I think your early 20s should be spent right there, right? Learning it, being engulfed in your desires. You know what I mean? If you're a dancer, you should spend every Friday night in the club in your early 20s. If your vice is women, hey man, have a great time in your early 20s. If your vice is sports, you should be at every sporting event in your early 20s. Like, that is the time when you can totally be selfish and be totally about yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. I did a little a little too much. So real quick then. So you guys, when did you guys start going to clubs? Like, at what age in your 20s? If you don't, what did you start going out to clubs then? If you don't mind me asking, let's just wrap it around. Whoever wants to go first to discuss.
Before I go there, let me tell you, the very first time I went to Vincent's, no lie, last year. Last year. And I was like, oh, this is what Vincent's is. This is what everybody's been talking. Because I've been to Lombardo's and I've seen them.
Nah, that's not what everybody's talking about.
I'm saying, no. I'm saying, like, I know the location. I know where it's at. I just never been inside until like last year. And I was like, oh, this is what it is. And I'm like, man, this must have been crazy years ago. It's because it's like, it's the stereotypical club atmosphere. You know what I mean? The bars here, you have like the rooms up here and sitting area down here. The dance floor was designated. Like, it's old school.
I never been to Vincent's.
Yeah, man. Like, because it's like now everything's blended, so you have to like make the dance floor, make the dance area. You got to move chairs and stuff around. But this was like designated. Like, you had to like walk into the dance floor, and if not, you were standing along the sides watching. I was like, okay, I can see why this was like the spot, because you always heard it. I had just never been. You know what I mean? Like, when I was younger, we were going to Providence, and we was in Providence all the time.
Okay.
You know,
younger, define younger.
Early 20s. Early 20s before I left for school. So up until like 22, 23, we was down in, because they even had a club. Was Confetti's or something? And we were down there.
Confetti's, Big Daddy's.
We were down there under 22.
Yo, listen.
They were letting kids in there. They were letting teens in there. There was no drinking.
So yeah, those clubs at that time was for the guys. It was 21 plus, which was crazy at the time. It was 21 plus for the guys. It was 18 plus for the girls.
Yeah, and what they were selling, Red Bull and soda in there and whatnot.
Insanity.
See, I guess for better or for worse, I missed that entire wave. It's interesting. We talked before, very early in Sparring Minds, about how Shep and Little was outside well before I even knew what outside was, right? So, 18 to 20, I was leaving high school. I went out to Florida for college. I went out to California. By the time I came back here, I was 20 and I had my son, my oldest son. I missed
You was in like the party states. Cali.
Yeah. But I was by myself though. You know what I mean? Until I went out west and I was doing some things with some people. But I came back home and I had a baby right away. So those early, again, we talked about those early 20s when I was supposed to be outside. I was babysitting on the weekends. See what I'm saying? So I didn't get those opportunities. It only came later when I was like 24, 25, 26, Trey was a little bit older. There was some weekends he would stay with his moms. I was there in Rosedale with, some 100 niggas, and it's like, yo, we're going to Blue Wave. Really? What's Blue Wave? Get in the car, we'll show you. Okay, great. And now I'm like, yo, I've never been in a club before. Mid-20s was the first time I ever went to a club.
And before any of y'all get to thinking, when he says 100 niggas, even if it was 100 niggas, it might have been double that amount of girls there. But that was a long time ago. Because I was about to say pause a minute ago because he said 100 niggas, and I'm like, nah. Let's get this record straight.
Clear that up, little.
Let's clear that up. Rosedale was the spot.
There were some entertaining evenings at Rosedale. That's
okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's mid-20s. I was entering that journey. You guys had already been there for a decade by the time I got into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You made up real quick though.
What are we doing? What are we doing right now, though?
I mean, we brought up Rosedale, so I'm like, man, you
keep some stuff to yourself, Sam. Like, I still got a wife to go home to, man. You gotta try.
Yeah.
But no, like,
you didn't tell me all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like you said, those are the years where you're kind of just figuring out who you are, what you like, and you know what I'm saying. Like, so like, if you guys could talk about what would you say like was if you have one in particular like highlight that comes to your mind when you talk about 20s that you can talk about on air that you can.
I had to really think about this one
out there too that you can talk about on air. Like, what would you say? Did any of you ever go to hood spots back in the days? Yes. I was in all the hood spots in the hood, around the hood. Absolutely. From shout out to Tish. Yeah.
Throw it up on the screen so we can see, man.
My fault.
Yeah, I didn't go to any of the spots, man.
I didn't either.
I stayed within these four walls, man.
You never went to Packy's?
I was older when I went to Packy's, but there's one of those spots that you always heard about. And then when I got there, I'm like, I get it. But I was never that far down. I never crossed Grove Hall too much. Like that was probably the furthest I went as a young person.
Oh yeah, you was from the other side. Yeah,
I was going to like Unity on that side. You know what I mean?
Okay.
See, that's wild. I missed all of those adventures. I missed all of them.
So Unity is right down the street from the crib.
Yeah, I was in full parent mode at that time.
Yeah.
My weekends, I had the kids. So I didn't, it was the rarest time I was able to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Unity. My God, the Zodiac Club, Grove Hall.
Zodiac. Yeah.
There used to be a spot in Manhattan.
The Rose. The Rose.
No, that place too, but it was on Blue Hill. It was next to the laundromat.
Tavern in the Square.
With the Indian in front of it?
The Tavern.
Yeah, me and my buddies used to go there every Wednesday night because it was open mic night, if I'm not mistaken, and whatnot. So Top Cat and all them cats go up there. We'd be playing video games and whatnot. But yeah, okay. All right.
So y'all,
I know you got out like that.
Who?
At that time, you a different ant now. At that time, I didn't know.
Nah, I didn't. I mean, for me, I was a late bloomer, so I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in my 20s. So I was like I was outside a little bit, and I can't say I was feeling myself. I was just trying to figure it out. You know what I mean?
So I guess the question is this: you guys felt like you used your 20s correctly?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is being outside, experiencing life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
Well, in one aspect of life, yeah. My fun, I got some of that fun out, yeah. But serious life type stuff, nah, I was still behind.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to grow up, trying to figure it out. 2 kids before I was 25? Yeah. Actually 3 before I was 25. So it's just like
see, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
So
I didn't use my 20s. I didn't get to use my 20s, but anything for my own personal entertainment. It wasn't my 20s wasn't that. You know what I mean? So that's why I went crazy in my 30s. I was him in my 30s. Like don't get it confused then.
Yeah.
But in my 20s, I didn't get those opportunities,
Yeah, 20s was.
You gotta think about, look at it this way. Look at it this way.
20s was
Talk
wild.
about time
20s
capsule,
was
right?
wild for me. Like,
Your 20s are when you're making the least amount of money of your life, right?
Yep.
But I had child support. Like, there was things, right? I didn't have the money to go out on a Friday night like y'all might have had. You see what I'm saying? I was buying diapers and I was buying, just those things that y'all could get an extra drink with. I had to get wipes. You know what I mean? So it's a different type of time for me. And I had two going into the back end of that. So
now you see how you said that in your 30s you was him. When I was, I mean, are we good with the 20s? I don't know if everybody even told me a highlight of the memorable part. I guess we're gonna skip past that.
No, I'll give you a quick highlight.
I see everybody kind of curve that question, so I'm gonna just leave it alone because I'm like, nobody gonna highlight your 20s.
Shit.
No, I mean, the highlights for me in my 20s, I went to school, man. I went to a HBCU, and that was life changing.
Word.
Oh, I was like, yeah, that's when I became, I guess, Hightower, if you want to call it that. I mean, I was always that the quiet kid or whatever, right? But I kind of grew into my own, found my rhythm. Not in that respect. I mean, just found out who I was as a person.
Hey, no, I just bypassed it. I said, "Oh, this how
yeah. I had to clarify that, man. Like it wasn't all about that. It was just about kind of coming into my own character and realizing my likes, dislikes, and exploring the HBCU. So I see Athens in the comments, man. Shout out to him, man. He's representing.
That's my big cuz, man.
Pittman also.
Yeah, that's my big cuz down in North Carolina, man. Shout out to big cuz. He always rocks out. Support. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the 20s for me, the highlight was going to California, like living in California, because even more so than Florida at the time. California showed it. The thing about living in Boston is, when you think about it, Boston might be 20 square miles in total. You think what I mean? And we all grow up in these little sections of this town, and we think that's the be all end all. You know what I mean? But when you go to places like California, the world is so wide open. You're seeing people that you've never seen before. You're seeing things that you've never seen before, environments, atmospheres, relationships that you've never seen before, right? Obviously, we had different gangs in our city, right? That was a part of our regular day-to-day life. Yep. I went to the West Coast and immediately saw what Bloods and Crips was about, like immediately. Right. Like, oh, this is different. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, and when we was coming up, you couldn't wear an Atlanta Braves hat.
Nope.
But you could, as long as you avoided that neighborhood. But really, you couldn't, because sometimes, right? You couldn't wear the Pittsburgh Pirates hat because sometimes maybe just don't do it here. But sometimes, right, on the West Coast, just don't buy red. How about that? Just don't buy
red. Right.
Just don't buy red. Yeah.
Just leave it on the shelf, right? It's a different situation. It's a different learning curve.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And not only that, in my 20s, I'm green. I only know family. It will tell you I only know family at this time, right? That's how we were brought up, right? And so everybody who was close to me at that time was melded into my family. That's how it was. So when you go to the West Coast, that's how the Bloods and Crips operate. You see what I'm saying? So I ended up being pretty good with some of the Bloods, and all of a sudden, they have this family environment. Was like, yo, okay, you rolling with us, you good. Me, I'm green. I'm like, great, this is great. Not knowing that, wait a minute, there's some other niggas who might not like that.
Right.
So the 20s really taught me a lot about.
So you a Blood?
No, no. There was a time where I thought they were the greatest thing, and they took care of me and they did some things for me. But I think when you come
that's
back,
why you got the LH gear on. I got it.
When you come back to Boston and it's different, you just get a better view of the world. So I think moving to California really helped me in my 20s how to gauge relationships moving forward to adulthood.
Man, one highlight in my 20s. Oh man, it's too many, but one that I'll share is you know, again, you hear me speak on my brother a lot. My older brother, we're 9 years apart. You know what I mean? Like we hung out tremendously. So we're going to New York to go to the Tunnel. And if you've ever heard about the Tunnel nightclub in New York, it's an extremely dangerous club to go to. You know, I mean, you want to make sure you're with some people from New York, or you don't want to be an out of towner going to somewhere like the
know what
Tunnel
the exits are, all of that.
Yeah.
So we went to the Tunnel nightclub. First time there, fish out of water. Unfortunately, the performer wasn't that good because it was 8-Ball from the South, so it wasn't really rowdy. It wasn't like DMX's video, you know what I'm saying? Like, get at me, dog. But having a good time. First time I ever found out that they have unisex bathrooms. So the Tunnel was the only nightclub that I've ever been to in the history of life where a man and a woman could actually go into the bathroom at the same time, and there's no gender things or no nothing like that. Got so blasted that night in the Tunnel that somehow God guided me to the basement of the Tunnel, where I went down there and found that there was other people. I don't know if this is a highlight or not. I guess the highlight is that I actually survived it. That's probably the highlight of it, is I actually survived it. And somehow getting to the Tunnel of the basement, my brother and them lose contact with me. And then all of a sudden I just hear a voice from one of the bouncers that he comes down to the basement and finds myself along with other patrons who obviously had clearly too much to drink that night to get us up out of there. And all of a sudden I come out, the line things are all cleared out. The club has been over with. And my brother's just standing outside, him and some of his friends. And he's like, yo, I wasn't going back to Boston without you because I would have been able to go back if I didn't come back with you.
100%.
So again, I don't know if this is a highlight or I don't know what, but I'm just thankful I survived.
That's a highlight. That's a highlight.
You made it home.
My night in the Tunnel nightclub, which it was a great time from what I remember, but I know that God was guiding me when he guided me to. He said, young man, you've had a little bit too much to drink, and it's best that we go sit you down here. So thank God I survived the Tunnel in my 20s.
Little, where you going?
Huh? Shit, I was hoping we skip over me.
Oh, shit, no, hell no. Hell no.
No way.
My 20s, I don't know. I think my highlight would be more of a serious thing. I think just me, not being a crash dummy, just, wiser, just getting a little bit smarter and understanding that, I got 2 kids I got to, be responsible for. So I think me coming into the realization that I got mouths to feed, just got me into that working type, flow that I'm in. Y'all be like, yo, this nigga's always working. Mm-hmm. That's when I started realizing I had to do that.
In your 20s? I wasn't that mature.
Probably like 20, 25, 26, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I wasn't that mature. So salute to you.
Well, you mature quick when, your first baby, that's your first baby mom. Y'all go through some shit and now y'all separate. So you grow up kind of quick. So that was going on at that time. So,
oh man, yeah, definitely. So
just getting smarter. That's what all that is.
Okay.
Now my 30s, that's a different story.
That's when I thought I
was invisible, Chuck.
Here comes those 30s, man. So we know you don't went through the 20s, you don't went through the phase, you're filling yourself out, you know what I mean? And in Capo and Little's case, these brothers were fathers at this time, you know what I mean? So but what was it like entering the 30s? Kind of like you've already been through the father stage. What was that like? So let's talk about the 30s. You know what I mean? And what that whole journey was like. Because now you're outside a little bit more, right, Capo? Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Pretty much you're a seasoned vet. Now, are you back in Boston at this time of when you're entering your 30s, your prime 30s?
I'm definitely in Boston. I'm definitely single for the first time in my life.
Okay.
Right? Because I'd always been in these long ass relationships with chicks who just happen to be pregnant, and then I'm there for 6-7 years, right? So in my 30s, it was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm single now. I'm outside a little bit. I'm doing some things that's a little bit different, right? Like now I'm linking up with Little, right? And now me and Little are out 3 days a week finding something to get into.
Don't blame me for your
and
past.
You know, he's like, yo, I'm like, Little, I'm home reading the Bible. What are you calling me for? Like, Chuck, let's go out. We got to go meet up with these. Well, I got Bible study in the morning. I really can't do this. And he would come by and get me.
Look at bullshit right here.
We was outside a little bit, right? And that was fun because, yeah, but I think it was valuable for me, at least for me. And me and Aunt relate to this all the time. I didn't spend those early years being this hunter. I never had that. I was playing video games and basketball, right? Mm-hmm. And then in my 20s, I was a dad, right? I was just home with kids, right? So in my 30s, when I was single, I transformed into a hunter. I finally got to play in that game that everybody had been talking about for a decade, right? You'll go out, get chicks, bring them back to the crib. Oh, I'm in, right? And oh, by the way, I'm a good-looking ass dude, right? So now the game comes a little bit easier, right? As you know, and so now it's like, hey, Ma, how are you? Let's link up. Of course, now it's that in my 30s, right?
The voice,
so
man. You ain't got to do all that.
I haven't done them in a while, right? Yeah, I haven't done them in a while.
No, just don't do that one. Don't do that one. I'm letting them, but come on, man.
Listen.
I got 2 drinks over here already.
Man. First the wordsmith.
Yeah. It was finally my turn to be outside, right? Now, we didn't call it outside then, of course, but it was finally my turn, and I definitely took advantage of it. I had some great times with that. Time capsule wise, let's make sure that we're talking about it from a mature standpoint too. Yeah, men like to date. We like to, see what women are obtainable, of course, right? But there is also a journey financially that you're on. You're trying to put yourself in a position to at least, again, I didn't have the journey that Ant did, where he went on and did college for so long and was able to really direct his career early. I didn't have that. I had to try to piece it together based on things that I was interested in, right? So in my 30s, I was really able to start to say to myself, yo, Chuck, you know that finances are going to be a part of the world. Put yourself in that lane and then ride the wave. And I did that. And so I was able to then financially be in a space where I was a lot more comfortable. So yeah, between being outside, actually trying my hand and meeting some young ladies, having that part of my journey, and then being able to start to really craft myself career-wise, really, really exciting times in my 30s.
Yeah. Anyone else want to jump in?
I became a dad at 30, so my sequence is kind of flipped. I think mine flipped with Chuck and with you, man. Like, you was outside as a teen. I was in the crib. I didn't come outside till I was in my 20s, but I was still going to school, so that was kind of blended. And then, when that kind of phased out, try to start a family, and here come the 30s. But yeah, same idea. It's like you kind of have this trajectory of kind of where you want to go, and started a family, bought a house, got married, did all that stuff.
It's so weird too, because we talk often about the history of hustle and height, right? Mm-hmm. And there's such a weird dichotomy. In my 20s, I was in the house, and he was, doing what he was doing, right? And then in my 30s, we exactly flipped, right? Mm-hmm. When I came outside, he was going inside. Yeah. And his, and his lady at the time was like, yo, stay away from hustle. Like, get the fuck away from me. Right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, yo, hi, Tom, we outside. What you up to? I got a wife, Chuck. Oh, I mean, still come out, you still kick it for a little bit. So it's weird. It's weird that's how that played itself out. It's funny. Me and Ant laugh internally about this too, because it's kind of just been our journey through our whole life, right? Yeah. Like, we have these really hot periods where we're always together, and then it's like, wait a minute, we don't. and then right, a year later we're a hot period. It's kind of
Yeah.
just weird how that works in our world. So, yeah, it's cool to kind of hear how our 20s and 30s are aligning there.
Yeah.
And don't forget that Little was a villain here too. So while Aunt was like, "Yo, Chuck, I can't come outside. I'm married, and I got to do the dishes," Little was like, "Yo, I'm outside. Let's go." You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay.
Little's throwing you the alley oops. Like, yeah, Blake Griffin.
He was definitely on his CP3. Definitely.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, similar to Hightower's talk. When I was 31, I became a father, right? So that, like, again, just 18, 19, I'm outside, I'm having fun. The 20s is kind of same thing. And then this things happen where then there's a child involved, and now real life, starts to happen. So I think my 30s is, obviously I became a father. I started to look at the lens of the world
different.
Just different. Everything that I want to do for myself, the things that I ignored about myself as far as getting like my shit in order, certain parts of life, like kind of figuring out what I want to do. Like that's, I went to the teaching kitchen program. Like, again, in my 30s, all of this happened around, my 30s. And I'm not, I used to be ashamed to talk about this, but like before, like, when I was in my 20s, I didn't graduate high school. I didn't go and get my GED stuff until I was in my 30s. This happened all around the time that I became a father. Then I enrolled in this program. Like, all of this stuff started happening like all at once. So I kind of probably use my 30s for like just like maturity and like kind of like to find like more of what I want to do. Like what am I passionate about? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's when like, cooking really came into my life at that point, because then I'm in this program. Now I'm getting, cooking from this perspective, I'm just not just doing it, for the homies like after school at Dorchester High. Like, no, I'm actually learning a skill that can really help me out in life and stuff like that, while becoming a father and learning about this whole journey. Because again, we all know as fathers, there's no handbook, or there's nothing that comes with it. You are learning and adjusting on the fly as it kind of happens out. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, what does God teach me? It's like, I have a daughter, right? And in my 20s, like, I used to be the guy that was chasing everybody else's daughters, and now look at what God does to me. Where He's like, yeah, dog, we're gonna get you back for some of that energy you put out into the world.
Yeah.
At the time, you know what I mean? But it was a dope time, because again, it was a lot of learning, and it just, when you become a father, but you become a parent, it just puts you in a mode of where, you'll do whatever you got to do to make sure that your kid's good, your family's good, just to make sure everybody's good. So you'll constantly be putting other people before yourself, which I already kind of had a chance to do in my 20s. So yeah, 30s, it was, father, figured out who I am. A lot of my loves begin, you know what I'm saying? Like, my cooking love, my all that type of stuff in my 30s. So it was definitely a flip adjustment, and trying to balance out some of those things, the two, which got me in some trouble, because I'm like, oh, I'm a dad, but I'm still trying to hang out. No. You gotta find that balance and just cut all that shit off. Like, do what you gotta do. And I learned the hard way a few nights. So yeah.
I think one of the things here, as we pass it to Little, right? Like, one of the things that I don't know if I regret, but you had the chance to go back up to a time capsule, is that I would like to experience a social life before my 30s. I didn't get that. You know what I mean? I didn't have a social life before 30s. So I think that's one of the things I would really like to have switched up, is do that in my early 20s. Get it done, get it out the way, and then get focused on life. I had to do it in reverse fashion. So I like where you're going with that. Also, salute to you for continuing that educational journey. I didn't know the story about you, but I think it shows perseverance. You know what I mean? and a little bit
Yeah,
more mature.
I don't think we've ever talked about. I don't think we've ever had that conversation. Like, it's never come. It's not like it's something I was avoiding, but it just never came up.
Yeah.
To where it happened like that. You know what I'm saying? But there was a time period in my life where I would be like hesitant to tell someone that part of it. You know what I'm saying? Until I got older and I just realized, like, what's the shame in that? I started thinking to myself, and I was overthinking it. I'm like, there's no shame in that. Like, fuck that. But that was me as a 20-something thinking about, like, how is someone gonna look at me if I tell them this?
Yeah.
And I'll give it to Little. I'm sorry, bro. I don't want to keep going.
No, you good. You good.
Shout out to my brother Jerome Adams, my brother Pootie, because Pootie is the friend that came to me when I lived on Howard Avenue and said, yo, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, why ain't you like school? Like, what are you doing, bro? You have to get like that part of your life together. He was the one friend at the time that like started that conversation. And I couldn't argue with him like because he was absolutely spot on. I just didn't say nothing. I was like, yo, all right, you're right, and I'm gonna get it done. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Pootie because he was the one friend that like put the battery in my back to be like, yo, bro, what are you doing? Because it was a bunch of us that was going through life again in our 20s having fun, whereas the educational piece wasn't a priority for us. I'm gonna just say what it is. It just wasn't. So like while you guys are talking about, you know, y'all college journeys, I'm like, damn, I'm envious of that in a way because I'm like, shit, that's the one regret that I sit with in life of not having like that lived experience. You know,
but you know what, Chef? You know what, Chef? Too. I know we're going off of some shit too. In the 90s, education it wasn't a rare thing to hear people dropping out of school. It was pretty common in the 90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And you know, whether it was dudes in the street, whether it was women who was having kids, it was a pretty regular situation. And be like, oh, what happened to that chick? Oh, she had a baby. She didn't come back to school. Oh, what happened to dude? Oh, he's doing this. He's making some bread on the side. He ain't. Oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean? It was only like guys. Me and Ant were squares, right? We say it all the time. So like, school was the only thing we knew. Like, we didn't know. Like, what do you mean not go to school?
We didn't really have a choice.
The trouble we got into for skipping one day of school.
Yo, man, I said, man, every Wednesday was my off day from school. I said, fuck this. Every Wednesday.
We had a soap opera. I promise you. We'll talk about it one day on this show. Our lives as the world's turned. I promise. It was a whole thing.
Listen. There was
Parents
a wave.
Cousins were. It was a thing because we skipped one day of school to play Bulls versus Lakers. It turned into a whole thing.
Whole thing.
Jesus.
Whole thing.
We'll talk about that. But in the 90s, it wasn't. So again, salute. I think that's dope. Sorry, Lil, I didn't mean to jump in. It's dope.
No, you're good. You're good. No, it's definitely good to hear the stories and whatnot. My 30s was different. I was 10 years in the game. Now I'm like, I got experience with kids. All right, cool. All right, they go to sleep. I'm out. I'm everywhere. You know, I thought I was invisible then. I'm getting paid good. I got a hit list out.
Jesus.
My 30s is crazy. Like, but I'm not going to speak too much about my 30s because. I had a ball. Really, I lived life in my 30s, though. I definitely lived life in my 30s, man. You know, and so, you know, and me and Chuck did hang out, and I wasn't. I mean, I was out there, but Chuck.
He keeps incriminating you, Chuck. He keeps incriminating you.
Dragging him along with him.
We'll walk in the room with Chuck. Chuck, yo, boys, which one y'all want?
We ain't doing
they all free.
We ain't doing
this.
Shit. That's how it was. Chuck will point out one for you. Hey, she's just all right.
Yo. Oh shit.
But that was a long time ago.
This is a long time ago.
This was right after, a long time ago.
This was right after Bible study. We went to Bible study first. We went there. We had spent about 90 minutes.
I wasn't studying no Bibles in my 30s. Like, I got real good with broadsides in my 30s.
Yeah, that's a.
Yo,
Zoe, go upstairs.
Yeah,
Jesus.
The 30s were exciting. Those were exciting times. I promise. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I know I was a square for a long time. Because when I think back to certain situations, like early 20s before I went away to school, I was still like, what do you do in these situations? It's like, what do you say in these situations? And then my man pulled me to the side, like, yo, what are you doing? Just da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, what, really? Just that's all I gotta do?
Yeah.
Sure enough, we go in there, do what your boys told you to do. And I'm like, oh, okay.
That's how I got into modeling.
What? Hold on. What?
That's a crazy.
Wait, what?
Just another story for another time.
I want to hear no. You gotta talk about this. Come on. What were you in your
for another time,
in your 30s? It's a model.
Oh, I remember Little was modeling for sure. I remember those days.
Yeah. It's somewhere in my late 20s, early 30s, somewhere in there. Yeah, for a little while. That's how you was getting into all the parties. You was getting into some good parties back then.
Well,
you know, because you at that great age when you're in your 30s, like you got grandmas and aunties, and you got
cougars.
25, and because I don't go that far out of my age bracket.
There was some 40-year-olds, some mid 40-year-olds in the stadium that night. There's some tales. Some tales there.
So I promoted for a while in my 30s.
Little definitely had with the ladies because they definitely nicknamed him Black Jesus back in those days because they used to be like, oh God, when they saw him. So he used to be Black Jesus. So Little, you're absolutely right. I can co-sign in some of your stuff.
So now you see how I was just a sidekick during those times. I was just like, holding his bag and watching him work.
Yeah,
that's bullshit. If Little was
you
Jay-Z,
just prolonged my career. Believe me, you prolonged my career. He came in like Durant on the Warriors, man.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
Hey yo.
Nigga said, you bashed me up with this all-star, and he's doing all right.
Yo.
Oh God, this show is great. This is a good show.
Man,
man, but I hate to go back to my 20s again, but was there any initiations you had to do in your 20s? Because we hung with some of the older people in our crews in our 20s. Now, what were some of the initiations you had to do? Or some, there was some stuff. I know they either made the young nigga go to the liquor store because he's the young nigga. They had to do something. We do that in the hotel. Whoever's the youngest person got to go to they got to do store runs or something.
I can't say that ever happened. If that did, that probably was like when I was coaching and I was like around like Diaz and all those guys. You know what I mean? Being the younger guy, because like when I first got into coaching, I was one of the youngest ones there, if not the youngest. So I can remember some stories like that where I had to do that, like, go to the store, get some beer, Boo and them, but like, yo, you know what I mean? Because again, Boo was like, that was my OG in high school. You know what I'm saying? So like, but it wasn't too many. It wasn't too many stories. Like that. I feel like I was always in the cool club too, though. You know,
my OGs, they put me through some
early
shit.
On.
Yeah, like what, Little?
Well, for one, I had to go grab the condoms. I had to wait till they finish before I can even go to sleep. Sometimes.
What is happening here?
I had to go through the car. Like Ron Diaz, Tay, Smoke. I'm calling you all out because they put me through some shit. Yo, D-Tay. Listen, our Roxy nights. I'm the young nigga. I got to do all. I'm driving people home. I'm carrying people. I had to do a lot of stuff as a young nigga in the crew.
Yo. See, the good thing is that it's all of the guys like that I hung out with, like especially going out in those days, like we were all around the same age, and it wasn't like, yo, you see this Pain? He's definitely like,
yo, Pain, get out of here, man.
crazy.
Yeah, Payne was a bully back in the day.
I'm taking a whole lot of motherfuckers with me.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's nasty work.
Except for the niggas in Roxbury. All the niggas in Roxbury, we cool.
No, here you go. All right, Ken.
Ain't never gonna tell on the hood.
Yeah, I see that. That's fucking hilarious. But yeah, nothing too crazy that I had to do, like, you know what I mean, store runs or anything like that. And again, the older guys that I did hang around, like, they weren't on that type of time too, like outside of like the basketball and that kind of stuff too. You know what I mean? Because my brother had me hanging around my whole life.
Yeah, I'm just trying to set it straight. You know how many wives don't like me because their mans don't. Yo, I'm with Sam. I'm like the same shit Charles trying to do. I was with Sam.
Yo,
how many girls don't like me? Their wives really don't like me because they think Sam was nah.
I ain't gonna front. That's definitely the worst, because I know that when I had a reputation that wasn't too good in the 20s. So if they were like, I was with Jermaine, it was like, I don't know about that. What were y'all up to? You know what I'm saying? Like, what were y'all up to? Like, so yeah, I don't know, man. Those weren't too good. But we're gonna get off the 20s real quick before
I threw us way off track. Let's get back.
Nah, man, but let's talk about to like where we are today, right? As you know, guys in our 40s, you know, social media kind of happens, that kind of gets going. And then, like, you know, I mean, again, some of us didn't hang out in our 20s, you know what I'm saying? So that's where some of these relationships start to foster. You know what I'm saying? Chuck's online talking about, yo, I got this mancation thing going on. And at first I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, mancation? Like, what is, like, just a bunch of guys going on vacation? That the name sounds kind of weird, you know what I'm saying? But dope experience. First time on a cruise for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, okay, like, I'm around some guys. It's like, yo, this is telling me about different things. Or like, yo, nah, we should be doing this, that, and the third at this time in our life. You know what I mean? So it was an introduction to, like, man, let's get back on some cool shit. You know what I'm saying? Like in your 40s. You know what I mean? Let's take trips. Let's build and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was super dope, man. Mancation. 2015, man. Like, you know, like that was a.
You know what's cool about that, Chef, is that because, again, coming out of my 30s, coming out of that hot season I was in, right, I was able to really start formulating relationships. We talked about that earlier, right? I was now able to formulate not just with women, but with the fellas, right? Being able to be, oh, my nigga, what's good? How you been? Like, let's break bread. Let's see now where our life journeys are going. A lot of that confidence started to come in those and just developing those relationships in my 30s, to then really evolving those and kind of pushing them a little bit further. You see what I'm saying? So around this time period, me and Ant started rolling heavy again. Sammy was already there. You know what I mean? So a lot of this stuff was starting to make sense in terms of, okay, everybody, we all need male fixtures in our lives to bounce off ideas, community thoughts, global resources. Like, we just need that kind of ecosystem as men, right? So that was something that I was heavy on early. And so then, you know, starting to have those man cases conversations is nothing different than what I would normally do with my family anyway. You know what I mean? Tosh, how are you? You know, we was doing that anyway. So, you know, seeing you guys as family, it was an obvious thing of, yo, we're family. Let's go and do what family does. Let's get together. Oh, by the way, we can do some other things outside of just trips. We can do a podcast. We can, you know, let's explore that. Let's talk more. So, I think as we go from 30s to 40s, your function now as a man must be, how can I elevate myself and those around me? And I took that seriously. And I wanted to make sure that, you know, much to you guys' chagrin, nobody gets left behind. We all going together. We all going to do it together. We're going to rock out.
No, shout out to you for quarterbacking the whole mancation thing, because like it definitely came in a time where, you know, I know I could use it. Like it was a perfect time for me.
Mhm.
Obviously, 5 years into fatherhood, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, and I never been on a cruise before, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, again, it's the outlook on life is just looking a little bit different, you know what I mean? And you know, again, like obviously everybody is not travel compatible, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just certain people, you know, so you don't know what that's like with people that you never been out of town. When you
Right.
you
Yeah.
see them on social media, you don't know what the vibe is gonna be like. And I mean, it was way better than I expected it to be. Not that I thought it was gonna, but it was way better than I
Mhm.
expected it. You know what I'm saying? Just because I remember, you know, some of those conversations that was happening on that ship at those breakfasts. You know what I mean? At those.
But see, but and you bring that up, Chef, but that's critical, right? Because
Yep.
that's something, those conversations that we was having, grown man bars, we
Yep.
wouldn't have had in our 20s.
Nope.
No.
Right? Tying it back to our
No,
time
Definitely
capsule.
not even
So
close.
now being able to experience that and have those conversations means all the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Some of it was life altering. You know what I mean? For me, you know what I'm saying? Like it was definitely life altering. It's Maine's laugh for me. What I did, I'm just saying, I'm just saying, man, those those vacation trips, man, like just gonna leave it at
Oh
that.
man,
You know what I mean? But
let's move past those vacation trips. Anyways,
it was I was saying the first trip we had I mean, every vacation trip, whatever, but we definitely we had a good time the first year. Because again, when I think about those vacation trips for me, and these conversations obviously was probably taking place before I got involved, but I just remember the start of those Sparring Minds conversations and what that was like. You know what I'm saying? And thinking about that part of it and how, you know, we tried little things as far as after that time period happened, after the cruise happened. And then, you know, when the world kind of stopped is when we just said, okay, we got no choice now but to do it. But I just think about those early conversations of those grown men bars and how that happened. And those were super, super dope times. You know, so yes, T, I'm moving on from it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but any other highlights in your 40s, man? Let's talk about some highlights of your 40s before we get up out of here. Shout out to Payne and everybody rocking out with us tonight. Rich, Toya,
So
you know.
so we talked about the 30s, right? But I got married in my 30s, right?
Okay.
And so that translates to my 40s heavily in terms of all the things I said I was going to be in my 30s. Like, so, you know, in your 30s, right, we kind of say, yo, I'm going to be that nigga for a while, but eventually I'm going to get this woman I want and I'm going to do it this way. So I followed that path. And coming out of my 30s, I got the opportunity to actually be everything I was going to be. I said I was going to be, you know what I mean, in terms of being a husband. Yeah, I'm blessed. Every day I get to be that a better version of that nigga. So I love the 40s because I'm in my financial peak. I'm no longer a 4X nigga, right? So I look a little bit different now. My confidence is still crazy, and I get to actually live and love on a regular basis. So that's you can't ask for more, man. That's where your trajectory is supposed to be.
Josh asked what was your secret. I said a lot of Blue Chew and Viagra and what was that? Some ginseng.
She didn't say secret. What are you talking? What are you reading?
Oh, I thought she asked what a secret was.
I just pissed the wife off and stopped cooking. That's all it was. You know,
yo, you gotta relax. You gotta relax. I'm sorry, Chuck. Thank you for pointing that out for highlights in your 30s. Any highlights in your 30s you want to discuss real quick before we move on to highlights in your 40s?
When I hit my 40s, man, it's when I kind of
no, I'm saying highlights in your 30s. I'm sorry. Before we get on to that.
Oh,
just becoming a dad, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at that point, it like, you know, it's part of why we're here, right? You know, reproduce. But yeah, I think that would be the only highlight, I guess, is just that experience. You know, marriage is one thing because, you know, you date throughout your life, right? So that's just the evolution of dating. But bringing life into the world was like the pinnacle for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just changed everything.
Highlight of my 40s.
No, 30s, your 30s.
My 30s. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Damn. Zoe, close your ears. I don't know if that was a highlight though.
Jesus.
She came in my 30s.
Where you going? Okay.
No, she know what it is. Yeah, shit. Like, the final installment to the Little family. Well, actually, no. Because now I got grandkids, so it's not the final installment. Just another edition, came along. Yeah, just and watching, the two older, the older two, just thrive, and do a lot of the things that I couldn't do, when I was their age. So, that
Right.
all in itself was, achievement to me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll echo Aunt sentiments. Definitely becoming a father. That was it for me. That was definitely the only thing that mattered. You know what I'm saying, at that time. You know what I mean. So yeah, that was, there's no highlight better. You know what I mean. In my 30s since than that. You know what I'm saying. Definitely best highlight ever. You know what I'm saying. But 40 highlights. What are some highlights of your 40s that you could, so Little's towards the end of his, we're in the middle.
This nigga right here, what the fuck is this?
I'm just saying, bro. I said it with you right on the screen, brother. Like I still love you. I'm just saying, like, you just at the end, no, and I'm joining you. I'm joining you at the end too. So like I'm getting close myself towards the end of it. So you're not alone. You know what I mean?
Nigga. That's hilarious. Just little tell us about your 50s, dog. That's wild.
All right.
That's wild. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
40 highlight. I think my 40 highlight is coming. We'll have a graduate, from college, in a couple of months. This one will be going to high school. Well, middle school, actually. So he'll be in middle school.
Wow.
Yeah, so she'll be graduating. So we got a lot of graduations. Stepdaughter, she'll be going. Actually, she got a boatload of letters. She don't know where the fuck she want to go right now. I think she got like 30 letters. Like all she does is sleep and fucking study. That's all she fucking does. They're going on a college trip actually this weekend.
Next day.
Sunday.
Monday, yeah.
Monday. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she'll be out there with, Height's daughter. I don't know what the hell they'll be doing, but because Peter been acting a little
community.
She a little bit different now. She coming home at 10.
Oh shit.
Yo, shout out to the good brother Corey Mack and Frank Farrell, the Office of Black Male Advancement. You know what I mean, for putting that together to make sure that the kids in the inner city kids of Boston and surroundings get that experience of going on HBC, youth tour. That's super critical, so amazing, so dope. And they do a really good job with it, you know what I mean? So definitely shout out those guys for doing that. And again, like Chuck was echoing under there, is community. It's just really like that, what I mean? It's super everything, the village and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely shaped all of us as youngins, growing up, is that we had community. You know what I mean? Man, highlight in my 40s. I'm sorry, Chuck, did you go? I'm sorry.
No, I don't mind jumping in. I think I have two big ones, right? The first is my 40s have highlighted that my faith in God has never been stronger, right? And that's a big deal for me, right? So, I grew up in the church like a lot of Black families. And when you grow up in the church, sometimes you struggle with that journey, right? And the problem is because you see the flaws of people who are telling you, you know what I mean? You see that and you're like, wait a minute. So as I'm in my 40s, I understand that faith really defines all of us. You dig? And again, whether you believe in God, whatever you believe in, your level of faith in that is what matters, right? To me, because I believe in God, I believe everything is possible, which leads to my other crowning achievement in my 40s, which is me being able to activate dream chaser mode, right? Me being able to come and talk to you guys and talk to everybody in the world and be like, yo, I want to do things and I'm going to do it, right? In my 20s, I am almost guaranteed to be that person who was, I'm going to do it. And he never does it. In my 40s, I am not him. If I said it, I meant it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you guys see that in me every day. You guys talk to me all the time. So you see that. You see that I have fully embraced being a man of my word.
Yeah.
And that is so valuable, being a Black man, that me being in my 40s and absorbing that, I am totally invested in that. I'm totally happy. I stand on a hill on a lot of things because I have faith, and I know that when my word holds value, and my community knows my word holds value, and that means a lot. So 40s have been embracing those two things.
Church.
Okay.
Church. Yeah. Height, you good? I think it should.
I'm good, man. I'm good, man.
Come on, man.
40s for me. It's the theme of the season, man. It's our prime, right?
Yep.
Figuring it all out. I went back to grad school.
It was about the re-up.
Yeah, man. It was about leveling up, man. And being the best version of myself. Through trials and tribulations. So yeah, I think the highlight for me is just finally figuring it out. And there's still so much more to learn, but I've got to a point now where it's like everything I've done and experienced and endured, wasn't in vain. You know what I mean?
Right.
How you look back and you have regrets about this and you should have did that or whatever it is. It's like I look back and I'm like, everything I've done, good, bad, or indifferent, kind of got where I am today. And I couldn't be happier, man.
Right.
Yo, we getting insulted in these little comments over here.
Yeah.
You lucky I'm in my 40s now and I done changed up my ways. Being around May and Pain, they kind of got me acting a little mushy here and there. And I see the other side of things a lot more.
Yeah.
Tasha, you keep it up. Keep it up.
Man. I guess one of the highlights or whatever from it was just like was really just like realizing like the shit that I really could do, you know what I'm saying? Or just the skill set that I actually had as a man, and I guess the power that I had as a person, like in terms of implementing the things that I learned when I was in my 20s, being around some of the older guys that I was, and now here I am in my 40s, and I'm that person to a generation of young people that's coming up after me. You know what I'm saying? And realizing like that part of it, you know what I mean? It was, it was crucial. Because again, as a parent, you're working so much, different things like that. And it was probably like the end of 2019 that, I'm working 2 jobs and have a business into where I'm like, yo, like something's got to give. Like I got to make a decision here. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't do all 3 or whatever the case. And, I had a good friend of mine, Raymond Heath, approached me about an idea of wanting to do cooking classes. This is the end of 2019 going into 2020. And everything kind of just, took off, right? It was like I'm doing cooking classes. I'm getting my first shot at like doing private dinners for people, and I'm getting like I got some motion, like in that space. I kind of like I was unsure of myself for a long time until I just like I realized it and like somebody like yo you're that nigga though, like realize that and know that and like you know what I'm saying, embrace that part of it and don't like overlook it or anything like that. And I think that having that confidence to step outside of my comfort zone and do that type of stuff, and you know what I mean, just be intentional about how I spend my time in my community and what I'm giving back and pouring into it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, that's probably the best part about it, is that I'm able to give back to the community in the area in which I grew up in by passing knowledge down to the youth that's coming up, you know what I'm saying, like after, you know what I mean? So that's probably been, been the biggest, the best part about my 40s up until this point, besides fatherhood. I think that kind of goes without saying, but definitely that part about establishing myself from a business standpoint, getting my LLC, all that type of stuff, but actually putting it to some sort of good use and things like that. And again, just what I give back to my community through my passion for cooking, you know what I'm saying? And just being a resource and a vessel for people who could use information and passing stuff on and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the biggest part about, my 40s, and the best part about it is that I'm able to pour back into the community that I grew up in and the young people. And I have the ability to see friends of mine's children that are coming to my cooking class now. Like, that's dope for me. That type of shit means a lot, because that lets me know that these people they trust me that much to allow their children, like, and they look forward to it and all that type of stuff. So that highlight in itself is just giving back to my community in the 40s. It's like it's truly nothing more gratifying. Like, I say that wholeheartedly. It's truly nothing more gratifying. So you know what I mean.
That's what's up. Salute to you, Chef.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all. I mean, guys, we went into overtime tonight, but not by much, I'd say. Well, no, I guess by a little bit of much. But no, man, listen, I love you brothers, man. And this was a great discussion, because, like I said, we've been on this journey, or at least I have, with you guys for like the past, I'd say, 8 years or so, you know what I mean? And it's been truly dope, you know what I'm saying? So, salute for social media for bringing us together and, traveling buddies and all that type of stuff. And what once started out as just a podcast idea has evolved into so much more than that, right? So that's super dope too, man. So this was a good one. Payne, we missed you. We definitely would have loved to hear your soliloquy on this one tonight, because again, you became a father young as well. So that would have been like super dope to kind of get that perspective, man. But I hope you're taking care of yourself. Hope you.
I wish Payne would have got on here and talked about him being a mentor. Boy, I would have laughed off. I would have left my ass off.
Don't do that, Sam. Don't do that.
Well, I'm just saying. Don't do that. And now that I think about it, it brings up that little saying: every saint has a past.
Sam, I'm not gonna say it.
Payne was different.
I'm not gonna say and let you disrespect him.
And since he ain't here, I'm gonna talk all the shit I want.
I'm not. We're not doing that.
Listen.
All right, let's get into this mirror time, man.
He didn't tell y'all how
get us out of here. All right, today's mirror time. Life only comes around once, so do whatever makes you happy and be with whoever makes you smile. For some reason, I feel like saying pause at the end of that, but it is what it is.
You gotta relax.
You gotta relax, man.
There's no reason at 49 you should be saying that type of stuff. Now, come on, cut it out.
Listen. There's a balance. You have to have a balance at this age, man. You got to be able to be young here and there. All right. Friday nights is my young time.
I've been saying balance for a few years now. Y'all hate it. Y'all hate when I say balance. So I love that there's someone else that's adapted having balance in their life.
I told you, you and fucking Payne done ruined my life.
Yeah.
Where all this shit's coming from.
You turned the corner, brother. You turned the corner.
Sparring episode 174, Time Capsule. Like, subscribe, follow all the social media things you're supposed to do. Catch y'all next week, man.
Network, baby.
Let's
go.